I'm not mad at you. I'm not yelling. I feel like sometimes I can't even say anything. And you always say, what? Like as if you're really doing nothing and you're kind of doing something every time, bro. And he's like, yeah, totally. I was a little spicy one time, and I mocked him, and I kind of mock him sometimes. So at this point, we've had multiple conversations, and I'm like, hey, bud, let's not throw knives from 6 feet away into the sink. It's kind of dangerous. What? And I'm like, what? And then immediately crying. Okay, so let's record the intro now.
So what is Milkless? Because I think we start with the name.
Two dads, we love our kids, but then we also need them to know that we're like pretty cool and it's not like a wimpy podcast. So, hey, hey, Milkless.
Hey, welcome. Hey,
Milkless. Call the audience, Milkless. What's up, Milkless? Max coming at you.
What if that's it? That's our first take.
All right, Matt, we are back live via satellite. We got a really fun one that came across the Milkless desk from yours truly. Had this idea about some things that I routinely say daily to the kids. One shitty thing that I kind of do or say that I think will balance us out as we're diving in.
Refrains, dadisms. Yeah.
So, I mean,
you want to do this? Are we doing this to hot takes?
Yeah,
this feels like a hot takes.
A couple little beep, beep, beep. Just kind of
yeah. Because then we don't have to have a consistent narrative thread.
Well, should we start with the negative to really do our low water mark? Let me do a quick negative.
Yeah, why not? Yeah. I got one of those too. Yeah,
it's a mostly positive episode, but here's my negative one. So my 7-year-old now is just like such a good kid, like really, really good. But anytime he does something that needs correction, and I'm like, hey, blah blah blah, he almost cannot handle that. And is always like, what? And then almost looks like he's like 10% going to cry. And I'm like, buddy, it's not a big deal. Like you're not in trouble. I'm not mad. I'm just saying like you can't throw cereal up in the air 4 feet and, so only 10% of it lands in your bowl, like to be silly. What? So I had a talk with him and tried to do it the right way where I'm like, hey, bud, like you could really, you've been saying what a lot. Like if I give you some feedback, like I'd really appreciate if you could just kind of be like, all right, cool, dad. Like, yep, got it. Like I'm not mad at you. I'm not yelling. I feel like sometimes I can't even say anything. And you always say, what? Like as if you're really doing nothing and you're kind of doing something every time, bro. And he's like, yeah, totally. I was a little spicy one time, and I mocked him. And I kind of mock him sometimes. So at this point, we've had multiple conversations, and I'm like, hey, bud, let's not throw knives from 6 feet away into the sink. It's kind of dangerous. What? And I'm like, what? And then immediately crying.
Oh, you got him?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
And then I've done that twice. And maybe even 3 times. And, it's kind of like the mocking, I guess, is not good, but I do it all the time, especially if it's something that's been talked about, because I want them to see and feel how fucking annoying it is. Yeah. It's kind of shitty though, right?
It's a fine line. It's so much is about how your kids receive it. Because I think about this often because the guidance is like never be sarcastic, never make fun of them. But I have always found that as like a useful, like sometimes humorous corrective. Like when my daughter will get a really, really whiny voice, sometimes I'll just do it back and just act like I'm about to start crying. And usually that makes her laugh. So it's like a call out to like, here's what you're doing. That's not like, stop whining. I don't respond to that kind of like, it's a softer thing, but you got to make sure the rule of thumb I've always had is like, they got to be in on the joke with you. Cause as soon as a joke like really catches them off guard or is the kind of like burn that you and I would do to each other, you can have the insta tears and then you're the asshole.
Well, the what is always when it's something that he's like embarrassed about. Like he impulsively drop kicks his little sister's unicorn or something and knows, and then she starts crying.
Sorry, it's not funny.
And then he looks over and he knows that he shouldn't have done it. And he's in his head, he's like, fuck. Why'd I do that? I'm like, buddy. It's like, what? And then he's already maybe feeling bad because he's such a good, empathetic kid. Like he's probably feeling bad that he did it. And then I don't just say it back like that. I go like,
yeah. You put extra stank on it.
I put so much stank on it. I kind of like want him to cry.
Yeah.
It's fucked, but.
Do you ever, I'll sometimes just walk into a room and I'll have no context. And my daughter will just turn to me and go, what? And I'm like, now I know you were up to some shit, dog. Like you could have gotten away with it, but now you're immediately, yeah.
Same thing with the mocking. I got one more. Same one, but now our 9-year-old, if the kids are being annoying to each other, he'll go, stop. He'll kind of say it like a Long Island accent. He does not have a Long Island, but he'll be like, stop. Yeah. And so we kind of have told him that, and sometimes it's a joke, but usually, again, that's when his ire is getting up, and we will mock him.
Yeah.
Stop.
There's part of what it is like if they're already too turned up, like it's not a good time to try to do that. And that's true of adults too. Sometimes if I see my wife starting to get annoyed because my kids are just being ridiculous with her, if she's at the beginning of it, I can just say like, have you tried just like doing it right? Like, I don't know why you wouldn't do it right.
Yeah. And
if she's in the right place, total diffusion. If I wait too long, that's not the right it's not the right thing for me to say right then. So some of it is probably like, is your kid in a place where they can even feel something's funny or have the self-awareness to be like, oh, I'm doing my Long Island thing? Or are they really so upset that it's just going to be
it's never
when those. It never goes good. Yeah.
No. And it's just something that's what I want to work on. Because the rest of the episode is basically, I think, funny or
I got a shitty one too, actually.
Okay, do your shitty one, you fucking asshole.
It's related to yours.
Okay.
I've found this as a pattern. It's not good. I ask when my kids have done something shitty, I like to ask them why. And it is the vast majority of the time not a question they are equipped to answer. Because the answer is, I'm 7. I saw my sister's unicorn. I drop kicked it before I even, but what I've found is that as I've worked really hard to not lose my temper or to yell or to lose control, one of my shittiest off gas is to calmly use extraordinarily adult psychological warfare that my kids can't possibly keep up with. And that shit sucks.
It's somewhat related where instead of a straight mock, it's a passive aggressive, like totally calm.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to rub your nose in it just a little bit. So tell me what the thinking was here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. John Mulaney has an amazing bit about this, that his dad would do this, like at the dinner table. Like he would say like, yeah, a kid was getting made fun of today. And his dad's like, well, what did you do? And he's like, well, I was sitting over on the bench. And his dad's like, and then by the end of it, his dad's like, so if you lived in Nazi Germany, and it's just like, it's not fair. Like you're too equipped as the adults to really fucking hammer them. And I think why I really want to pay attention to that and stop doing that is that is like shaming that they almost have to take on internally, because I'm not telling them like you're shitty. I'm saying like, hey, you need to self-examine and think about why you just smacked your sister. When if I could just stop being a dick for a second and take a deep breath, I'd realize the reason she just smacked her sister is that they're sisters and she's 2.5 or whatever the fuck. And why am I asking a 2.5-year-old why she did anything? I am better able to answer that question than she is actually most of the time. So the whys, that like, it's just not fair. It's just too much of like a disadvantage in what we're bringing to the table in those conversations. You gotta cut that shit out. Totally.
And before we go positive, let's just stay negative. Like, I feel like, fucking fuck me. In our very second episode, maybe even second or third, we talked a lot about shame and how shame is like one of the worst things you can do to a kid, like shaming a kid. Instead of saying like, hey, bud, that's not okay, which is totally fine, to like, what kind of kid, like, why would you do something like that? Yeah. Like a character assassination. Yeah. Horrible, right?
And my favorite shame versus guilt distinction is stolen from Brene Brown, which is guilt is I did something bad. Shame is I am bad. And guilt is actually like pretty useful and is usually self-imposed. And shame is often externally imposed and is like basically the most toxic thing you can do to somebody.
Right. So again, just summary, it's always like, you can always just be like, dude, not okay. That is not okay.
That's
like, because it isn't. Yeah. That is not good.
Yeah.
We cannot do that.
Yeah.
Like that must stop, as opposed to like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
So, and that's where I have stopped like direct shaming and I just try not to use the subjunctive tense. Like I don't say like, why would you do that? Like I don't say that anymore because that's like very shame, alarm for me. But I still throw some stank in there, which I should probably work on, recalibrate, because I'll be like, what's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here? That is like the language technically is not shame, but I'm using shame, veiled shame.
Well, and I just think that like,
doing?
What are we doing? And I just think often what I'll see from my daughter's face is like, I don't know how to answer that question. And like, then that feels really shitty. Cause like, I don't know why I would do that. It's, what your story reminded me of? I'm not going to name him because this story doesn't reflect hugely well on him. Mm-hmm. But this was like a long time ago. We were in downtown Austin waiting for a cab at the time when all the bars closed. All the bars closed at 2 a.m. It's really hard to get a cab. Mm-hmm. And there was a group of us and we'd been waiting on a cab for a long time. And finally we flagged one down and it pulled over and there were like 6 of us. And then this single girl just ran in front of us and got in the cab and wouldn't get out. Mm-hmm. It was a shitty move. And my buddy goes, that was a cunty thing to do. And she goes, did you just call me a cunt? And he says, no. I said, that was a cunty thing to do. And then he slammed the door and we never saw her again. But I liked that even in that moment, he was like, I'm not shaming you. I don't know you. But that wasn't great.
Oh, funny. We stole a cab for Halloween. Me, my wife, Simon, and his wife, and my wife stole it. And we were like 22. And the guy who got stolen by says, "Oh, you're a real cunt."
See, that was not an evolved. He was trying to shame her.
Yeah.
My
totally.
friend,
so cunty
very
move.
evolved. Yeah, cunty move. It was a cunty
So
move.
my wife got shamed. Okay, got it.
Yeah, that was shitty. My friend is awesome. He just told her she was being cunty.
Let's move on to the positives. All right, so this is something that I've been doing. It actually gave me the idea for the episode because it's something that I've been doing. And I was like, man, we got a lot of good people reaching out on Instagram, just sending us DMs saying, love the show. And,
some people say some very
kind things.
Very nice things. It's wild. It is really wild. It means a lot to us when that happens. Yeah.
So I just was like, you know what? I'd like to share this with those power listeners who want the feet pics. So basically, what I've been doing is like, I really want the kids to know how much I love them. I tell them this all the time. Like I'm always saying, dude, I love you guys so much. Like, and we say, I love you to the moon and the stars and the sun and back. And then, it's so that like can say they love them the most. Mm-hmm. I love you more. How do you know? Blah, blah, blah. All that stuff. There is some studies. Listen, do your own fucking goddamn research. But if you want, just Google it. Like telling your kids you love them daily is, I think, very important. So even if you are, have a cold, icy heart, say it every day. But so here's the other thing I've been doing, which I think is so cool. Please steal this if you want. Matt, you should steal it. So I just thought this up. I started saying it to one of my kids and I said it to all 3 in the next day. I was like, hey, listen, just want you to know, how I love you no matter what. And they're like, yeah, totally. I'm like, and they'll go through things like, what if I, punch somebody in the face? I'm like, I still love you. I'm like, what if I cut off your hand accidentally? I'm like, yeah, still love you, dude.
My daughter will go dark. She'll be like, what if I killed mommy? I was like, I can't have this conversation with you. Like, I understand what you're getting at, but that's fucked up.
But yeah, so they understand unconditional love. So I'm like, yeah, I love you no matter what. But here's what I want you to really know. Like, I'll love you no matter what, even if you were kind of a shitty kid. Like, I'm stuck with you, man. Like I made you. But I want you to know something. Like, I'm so happy that it's you. And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, you could have been anything. And we've talked about like, sperm and the egg, and like it could have been any millions of other people. And I just want you to know that you, the specific person that is you, I'm totally pumped that it's you. Mm-hmm. Because I'd love whoever came out, but you are that cool and awesome. I think you're so kind and funny, and I just love being around you. And just every second I'm with you, I think about you all day. I just love you so much, man. I just want you to know that. Like, if you were like a friend of a friend and you were an orphan, I'd want to adopt you. I'd want to bring you into this family because that's how cool you are. And I told all three of the kids this in like 1 or 2 nights, and their face just like lit up. Like, oh my God, like dad just like thinks I'm like so cool that he would like choose me. Cause I feel like, you know, sometimes like kids are annoying and hard and life is hard. And even though I tell them like, I love you guys so much. I love you. Good night. Love you. I don't know. I just wanted them to really know the depth of my love. And I think it was a cool little thing I'm going to do every once in a while. This episode is brought to you by the Milkless Patreon. If you want to keep listening, it's only going to cost $79.99 per month. We're going entirely offline, so you can no longer listen unless you pay $79.99 per month. Just kidding, it's fucking free. We're actually losing money on the episodes, but we love doing it for you. All we want is for you to tell a friend. Think about that one friend who listens to podcasts. They told you about serial podcasts. They told you about... So, and it's like, tell them about one.
Yeah.
And it's Milkless.
Just return the favor. The $79.99 does get you feet pics from Max. So if you're into that. Well, and it's not only the depth. It's funny. I think I kind of have my own version of this. The other night, I just told my daughter how lucky I felt to live with her, to get to share a house with her, and how much I enjoyed that. And I think that like the through line is they need to know they're loved unconditionally by us. But it's also cool to know that we like them. Yeah. You know, and those are different things. Actually, to go down a little bit of a philosophy nerd rabbit hole.
Please.
One of the fundamental contradictions that Kierkegaard points out is that we want to be loved. He, like most people, were operating in kind of like a Judeo-Christian context at that time. So he said one of the fundamental contradictions and paradoxes of love is that we want love to be unconditional and like Christ's love to be unconditional and universal, but also we personally want to be loved for the things that we think are special about us. And so he saw this tension there that like, and ultimately because he was like a French existentialist, he's like, so what is love? And like nothing's love. But to me, it's like both of those things are true. I mean, our kids need that love to be unconditional for us, but they also want us to dig them for the things that they dig about themselves. Like it's important for my oldest daughter right now. It's very important for me to think she's funny. And so when I can find times, like when she tells a good joke, I really make sure to go nuts about it. Yeah. I think that like I do that kind of stuff. Not quite in those words, like I would choose you, but I'll say like my daughter, and it's funny, she often initiates it. She'll say really sweet things like, of all the dads I've ever met, I'm glad you're my dad. And I'll say like, I've never met another kid that I would want to have. But
you say it second.
Sometimes I say it first, bitch.
Seems like she says it first.
Sometimes she does.
Should we have her
because
on?
Like,
yeah,
I think at some point, I've been thinking about this for a long time, and for some reason I'm nervous to pull the trigger, but at some point I'm just going to interview her and see how it goes, and I'll send you the clip, and then well,
she obviously seems like the kind one, that has the kind things to say. You could take a page out.
I like how right now you are describing me as the unkind one. Right now, with what you're doing. Look at what you're doing, Max. Why would you do that? What? Like, why would you do this?
Also, because our friendship is so strong, because I am that kind, I can pretend to be unkind in a way to galvanize our friendship even further.
So that's why. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
All
right. So this doesn't necessarily fall into either the negative or the positive category, but this is something I found myself saying to my oldest daughter a lot. My youngest daughter will never admit to losing anything. Like, the two of them will race, and my oldest daughter's 7.5. My youngest daughter's 2.5. So the 7.5-year-old has significant advantage. And whenever like 30 seconds later, my 2.5-year-old gets to the end of the race, she's just like, I won. And this drives my 7.5-year-old up the fucking wall. Even though like, and I've tried all these tactics, like, can't you tell that that we all know what happened here? Why? Like, don't take it so personally. She's 2.5. But what I've started saying to my oldest kid is, imagine if you lost every time. Imagine if you were always behind. Imagine if your sister could do all these things you couldn't do, and you could basically do nothing that she couldn't do. And that has been like the most effective thing I've been able to say, kind of like mantra I've been able to say to remind my oldest daughter to have empathy for some ways in which my youngest daughter can be admittedly like frustrating. It's just like, try to imagine what it'd be like if you never, ever, ever won at anything.
Yep. I love that. I mean, I think you got that from the co-host of Milkless.
Oh, do you say that? Did I bank that unwittingly from an old episode? And like,
well, you had a baby at the time. It just went in there.
I wouldn't know. So it went in that's cool. No. I'm unwittingly plagiarizing you now.
Well, I just did that one time with our, I think 4-year-old or 3-year-old at the time, just like, cause they're like, dude, this is like not cool, you know, cause they're about winning.
Yeah.
No, I was just trying to be more unkind to you.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
All right. You got some more?
That's a good one. Yeah, I got one. This is, I think I probably mentioned this before, but this is like how I subconsciously have trained the kids to be polite. And not demand things. Cause you know, like when a kid comes over, well, maybe you do, maybe you don't, they come over and they're just like, I'm thirsty. Like my kids still say that a little bit. They don't say it as much.
Yeah.
The way I've trained it is like something that my dad used to say. So anytime they say like, I need a fork, I'll just be like, cool story, bro. So that's like,
cool story, Hansel.
Cool story, Hansel. Sometimes they'll say Hansel and they're like, who's Hansel?
Who the fuck is Hansel?
But if they say I'm thirsty, I say, oh, I'm Friday. Come over Saturday, we'll have a Sunday. That's for the thirsty one.
Hilarious.
And I just I don't entertain declarative statements.
Yeah, me neither.
I need a fork. It's like, that is a cool story. Yeah. That is a really cool story.
Yeah.
And then they know that like, and some of the siblings will be like, can I have, I don't even need please. Cause I've also taught them, look, please.
It's really more of an inflection thing. Yeah.
You don't need to say please. Just say, a lot of times using the subjunctive tense, like, hey, is there any way you can grab me a fork? Because like, I wouldn't ask you if I'm at your house, Matt, could you please grab me a napkin?
You know,
it's like, what the fuck is wrong? Are you a robot?
What are you, a weirdo? We worked with this German cinematographer for a long time named Wolfgang. And Wolfgang once said to me, he's like, it's very confusing in English language. When you say please, it's usually aggressive. Can you please close the door? Whereas if you just say, can you close the door? This is very friendly.
Is he Pakistani?
Oh, shut up. That was an impeccable German accent. It was perfect.
Yeah, no, it was good. But
I went Jamaican a little bit at the end there. You're going Jamaican.
But yeah, I mean, like, and so the way I kind of follow that up is like, so I just do not move if they yell out, I'm thirsty, or like, I need a fork. Mm-hmm. And then if they say, can you get me a fork? Or, you know, could you grab me a fork? Or is there any way you can grab me a fork? I like pretend, especially when they're young, that I'm like a butler. I'm like, oh, yes, ma'am. I would love to get you a fork. Oh, excuse me. And I'll get up and I'll go get it. I'm like, there you go. Thank you very much. You know, enjoy that fork. But like, otherwise I'm just a cold-hearted bitch. Like if they're, I'm hungry. That is a very cool story, bro. That is like so cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm hungry. Yeah. I fucking get it, dude.
You know what I would often go for, because it was like the punishment was in having to listen to me. I'd say like, how might you ask somebody who you just cherish and love and respect deeply and to whom you owe like so much, and they wouldn't even let me finish because they just heard it somebody and I was be like, please, can you please give it? I was like, yes, thank you. Yeah, of course. Yeah. But I'm with you. You can't negotiate with terrorists.
Can't entertain that. No.
Yeah. All right. What was?
I have
you got it. Yeah. You got another one. All right. Yeah. I got one or two more, but it's gonna take me a second to remember them. So yeah, go ahead.
All right. So I kind of like, I have one like, so I kind of describe our family sometimes like, this is who we are, Valverdes. This is what Valverde is. And one, I think I mentioned it on our last episode, like we help the little guy. So like that's, we help the little guy. Another one, we don't play with doors. It's just like a thing. We don't play with doors in this family. And sometimes I will scream that. No playing with doors. We don't play with doors. I'm just so afraid of the fingers. You know, when there's some, even if it's a pantry door, there's somebody on one side, they're on the other. I'm like screaming, we don't play with doors. Mm-hmm. The other thing, we try all foods. So we have a rule. It's like, we try all foods. And we even say, you're actually allowed to chew it up and spit it out, but we try all foods. So it's like, that's what we do in this family. Even, oh, I don't like lobster. It's like, well, sorry, bro. We try all foods. You can chew it up and spit it out into this napkin.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I kind of like once they become foundational things, it's just like, these are things that we do.
Yeah.
That are more, kind of a slightly different from like everyone don't run with scissors. Everyone, hold the door for people.
Yeah. It's like, this is the family culture. This is what, I like that. Yeah. Of course, like, you got to make sure that then that applies to you too. Cause I have the, we don't shout at each other in this house. Like you gotta have the follow through on your end.
Yeah. I mean, you couldn't do the third one because of your tomato problem that you still have as
I've tried it a lot of times. They're garbage. I tried.
Okay.
But now you're going to do the thing that
I'm not
everybody
gonna do
does. You're going to try
Have you ever tried an heirloom tomato? Have you tried them with salt?
Fuck right off. Yeah.
Caprese salad.
Yeah. On our honeymoon in Italy, we had tomatoes right from the vine on this lake at this really good restaurant. And they're like, it's the best thing on the menu. You want me to do an Italian accent now?
Yeah.
It's the best thing. No,
that's good. That's good.
That might be racist.
No.
Anyways, it's the best thing on the menu. And I was like, yeah, I hate it. So I feel like I've given tomatoes their fair shake. But
you just try one. Just keep trying it. You can spit it out, Maddie. If you don't like it.
You're not the fucking boss of me. All right. This is something that I have started saying out loud because I say it to myself a lot. Is this worth fighting about? And sometimes I'll go further and be like, if you think if you take some deep breaths and think about in an hour, is this more important to you than your relationship with this person? And I've used this when my daughter has gotten into arguments with her friends. They're playing some game and they have a disagreement about the rules. I don't know if you get into this with your boys, but games usually at some point will be well, she did this but the rule was this and blah, 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 blah. When my 2-year-old is I won after losing a race by 7 minutes, and my 7-year-old gets real bent out of shape and wants to have it out with her, I'll just try to calmly, because this is at times I do this too, where it's I am picking a battle that is not worth it. And I just need to resolve how I feel about the situation within myself and move on. Because
how do you do it in the moment? That's what's the hard part. I've definitely said that a million times. Would you rather be happy or right? And then they'll always be right.
Yeah. Well, if they really can't, I've started to just be y'all go in separate rooms for a minute because you can't do this right now. You're just going up and up and up and up, and neither of you is in a place right now. And I think that soon you will see this as not as important as you see it now. So I do think sometimes you just kind of have to limited effectiveness. All this stuff has limited effectiveness. You just fucking keep saying it. And then eventually, developmentally, they kind of get to a point where they can start hearing it. But I do think I asked that question of myself in my relationship with my wife, with my kids, and my kids' relationships with each other, and my kids' argument with my friends. It is some version, not just of is this worth it, but kind of trying to say as soon as you're not in this state when you're super pissed, try to imagine yourself not there and look back at this.
Yeah. Well, another thing that's you got to be careful with this though, is you don't just also want to stuff down injustices in your marriage or whatever. But what it reminds me of is, so my wife and I have dabbled with this couples counselor / therapist. By all accounts, I'd say that we have probably a tip-top A+ marriage. But I was look, we're spending so much time on this other shit. Why wouldn't we do 1 hour a month to kind of do something? So it's awesome, because here's the thing, sometimes there's a very, very small thing where it's hey, when I told you my business idea that I was thinking about doing in 2027, you didn't really seem fully supportive of it, and that hurt my feelings. And it's that's not worth fighting over. But it is something that I maybe truly feel or something. So what this therapist said, which was really, really good, was if you just remember dose, tact, timing. So 1, what is the dosage? If your wife is putting away the dishes and I'm a little puppy dog in her ear, hey, guess this new idea I have, a company I'm going to start in 2027. It's the dosage is too much. Also, the timing of it. Is that really the time for that to happen? And then just general tact. But thinking about dose, tact, timing was super helpful, at least from the marriage standpoint of look, is this really the right time to talk about it? But as opposed to like, it's not worth fighting over, right? That's the tact portion. Like the timing, is this really when I want to have this conversation? But then talking about it like the next day, it's kind of annoying because it's like, then you're not really in a pissy thing with your kid or your parent, or your wife or whatever. But it's like those little tiny things are actually how marriages and, you know, relationships with your children can go awry over a 20-year time span. Because it's a death by 1,000 cuts.
It's a death by 1,000 cuts. And usually it is like symptomatic of maybe something that is actually like more broadly kind of a thing, right? Yeah, that's a great point. And I wonder if there's a way to kind of like introduce that to my kids in a way that they really understand. Even just the piece of like, I see why you're frustrated. Let's do this. Let's have this conversation, but let's have it later. Let's not have it right now.
Right.
So it's like, don't just let it drop. But right now, this is not going to be a productive version of this conversation. And it's not worth the conversation right now. It might be worth the conversation later.
Right. And I think that's the hard part is like, it's never that time because I mean, I'm on this high fucking horse. Let me tell you what's up here on this horse. I've like screamed at my kids. Do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
So I've said that
a
handful of times, more than once. I think I could count it on one hand, maybe two. You know, so I'm not a saint here, but I know in retrospect always that it's like, that was not effective. It's then the later that day or the next day, it's like, hey, listen, remember yesterday when your sibling was blah, blah, blah. Listen, I know it's hard, but it's so much better to be, you know, copacetic here. Let's talk about fairness and justice. Because if it's just like, it's not worth it, bro, drop it. It's not worth it. It's like, well, to them it is worth it because because the injustice, this aggression will not stand, man.
Yeah. And almost always if they're really upset about it, it's like something. Yeah, my daughter, my older one, had a conflict with like basically her best friend, and it was over a little game, and we were about to leave, so it just wasn't the right time. We were gonna like leave mad, and it was like fuck, and it didn't really matter. But like and I was kind of just pushing that it doesn't really matter, and then she was like, but she always does this, and it's like okay, then probably each individual time it's not worth it. But I see what you're saying, and I did I backtracked a little bit. I was like, yeah, I see why that's really frustrating. But I think, I like that dose tack timing. There's got to be a way to kind of simplify that for kids. But like,
yeah, totally.
Let's not. You're right. It's frustrating. Let's have this conversation. Let's probably not do it right now. I don't think this is gonna be the best version of it.
Yeah, it's more for us. Like, what's the dosage of the message? What's the timing of the message? Yeah. And am I using tact when I deliver it? So, and usually always the timing in a heated thing will be talking about it later. But timing also is like if they're really interested in like drawing something, it's like, hey, let's talk about this. It's like, again, not a good time.
Yeah. You know, it's a good time is a walk. We take a lot of walks. Do y'all take it? We are a
not with
walking
the kids.
Family. Yeah, we take a ton of walks just up and down the street with our kids. You got a good place to walk too. We take a ton of walks with our kids, and there's actually nerdy brain stuff about like right-left movement that's just kind of regulating, and a lot of times you can get them to talk to you in a way that you can't if you're just sitting around. Yeah. Totally. Word. Well, thanks. That's a good refinement on that last piece of bullshit I say sometimes, because that's kind of that's some more nuance. All right, homie. Well, I'll talk to you soon, big dog.
This episode of Milkless is brought to you by Viola Archer in the case of the Purple Martin. Thank you. Bye.